Hello. Tonight's is another Alfie story. This one's called Alfie's Feet. This little piggy went to market, this little piggy stayed home, this little piggy had roast beef, and this little piggy had none. And this little piggy went, wee, 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 I can't find my way home. Alfie had a little sister called Annie Rose, and Alfie's feet were quite big, and Annie Rose's feet were rather small. They were all soft and pink underneath. Alfie knew a game he could play with Annie Rose, counting her toes. Annie Rose had lots of different ways of getting about. She went forwards, crawling, and backwards on her bottom, and she liked to slide about very fast on her potty, skidding around and around on the floor, in and out of the table legs. Annie Rose had some new red shoes. She could walk in them a bit if she was holding a little cart or holding onto somebody's hand. And when she went out, Annie Rose wore her red shoes and Alfie wore his old brown ones. Mum usually helped him put them on because he wasn't very good at doing up the laces yet. If it had been raining, Alfie liked to go stamping about in mud and walking through puddles. Splish, splash, splosh. Then his shoes got rather wet. So did his socks, and so did his feet. So one Saturday morning, Alfie and Mum went to a big shop in the high street. What do you think they're going to buy? They bought a pair of shiny new yellow boots for Alfie to wear when he was stamping about in mud and walking through puddles. Alfie was very pleased. He carried them home himself in the big box. And when they got in, Alfie sat down at once and unwrapped his new boots. He put them on all by himself and he walked about in them. Stamp, stamp, stamp. He went into the kitchen to show Mum and Dad and Annie Rose, stamping his feet all the way. Stamp, stamp, stamp. The boots were very smart and shiny, but they felt funny. Alfie wanted to go out again right away, so he put on his Mac and Dad took his book and his newspaper and they went off to the park. Alfie stamped in a lot of mud and walked through a lot of puddles. Splish, splash, splosh. He frightened some sparrows who were having a bath, and he even frightened 2 big ducks. They were hurrying back into the pond, walking with their feet turned in. Alfie looked down at his feet. They felt funny, and they kept turning outwards. Dad was sitting on a bench, and they both looked at Alfie's feet. Suddenly, Alfie knew what was wrong. Do you know what's wrong?
What?
Dad lifted Alfie onto the bench beside him and helped him to take the boots off and put them back on. They were on the wrong feet. And when Alfie stood down again, his feet didn't look or feel a bit funny anymore. After tea, Mum painted a big black R on top of one of Alfie's boots and a big black L on the other one. Alfie had to remember which boot was which. The R was for the right foot and the L was for the left foot, and the black paint wore off in the end and the boots stopped being new and shiny, but Alfie usually did remember which way they went on, because there's nothing worse than wearing your boots on the wrong feet. They felt much better when he went stamping about in mud and walking through puddles. And of course Annie Rose made such a fuss about Alfie having new boots that she had to have a new pair of boots of her own to go splashing in. Splish, splash, splosh. This little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had bread and beef, and this little piggy had none, and this little piggy went wee, 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 all the way home. Good night. Good night to you and to all your little piggies. Night, night.